Hi dear students. So in this section we will discuss a Moore model of the hydrogen atom. So already we have discussed the Rutherford's alpha particle experiment and as well the Rutherford's model of the atom. So earlier we were considering the atomic structure, or we are comparing the atomic structure and as well the planetary system. But the force which is acting in the case of the atomic structure of the atom and as well in the case of the planetary system are different. You know that. In the case of the planetary system, the force which is acting, it is gravitational force. And here in this case of the atomic system, the electrostatic forces are there. So, and as well, the electrons are rotating around the nucleus, and with the same velocity, with the angular velocity which is constant, that means the particle it is getting accelerated constantly. So the constant acceleration is there. So as the acceleration is constant and as well the acceleration is there, as a result, what will happen? There will be an inward force. A pulling force will be there to the center, it is towards the nucleus. So as a result, the movement or the path of the electrons will be a spiral one, and at the end it will collide, or it will be end in the movement will be end there in the nucleus. They combine together. So such an atom will not be exist. So on the basis of this classical physics, or else on the basis of the electromagnetic theory, we cannot explain the atomic structure. It is not possible. So hence the Niels Bohr came with the new era, that is the quantum theory. So on the basis of the quantum theory, he explained the atomic structure. So three major postulates are there for the Bohr. The first one, it is the stable state or the stationary state of the atom. That means electrons are having a particular orbit for its rotation around the nucleus, and at that state they are stable. It means they are not radiating any energies, or no radiations will be there, no emission of energies will be there. The electrons will be stable in that particular orbit, and in the same orbit they will rotate continuously. And the second postulate is that for a particular orbit, the angular momentum value is an integral multiple of h by 2 pi, where h is the Planck's constant and its value is 6.6 into 10 to the power minus 34 joule per second. And this angular momentum value for the particular state, orbit, it means if we are considering a stationary state of electron, this particular state, this particular orbit, in that orbit the electrons will be rotating with a constant angular momentum, and the value is n into h by 2 pi, where n is an integer and it is representing the principal quantum number. You have already studied that things, that the principal quantum number is representing the shell number. If you are considering the first shell, that is k, the principal quantum number value will be 1. Okay. And the third postulate was that the transition of electrons will take place from its stationary state. Stationary state, that is the stable state, means non-radiating state. From that state, the transmissions will be take place, or the transitions will take place towards the lower energy states, that is the innermost orbitals. So from the outermost orbitals, the electrons may move towards the innermost orbitals. That means innermost orbitals are having, or inner orbitals are having the lower energy. So from higher energy state to lower energy state, the electrons may move, or the transition will take place. And as a result, the electrons are moving from the higher energy state to lower energy state. So the emission of energy will be there in the form of photons. and the energy of that photon, otherwise the frequency of that photon will be mu. Mu will be the frequency of the photon, and then h into mu, that is the energy which is emitted, and h mu will be Ei minus Ef, where Ei is the initial energy and Ef is the final energy. So we have seen that the classical concepts cannot explain the atomic structure in a fruitful way. So the major reason is that as the particle, that is the electron, is rotating around the nucleus, it is getting constantly accelerated and it will move inward in a spiral path. So as a result, its angular velocity and the frequency changes continuously. And as the electrons are moving from one orbit to another orbit, the radiations will be emitted from the electrons. That is, the energy will be liberated from the electrons. And as the frequency of the electron, the rotation is changing, then the frequency of the emitted radiation also will change. But in the case of that spectral lines, we have seen the emitted electron, the emitted energy values, or the spectrum values, if we are considering a particular spectrum, the energy in that spectrum will be constant. So as the frequency changes, the energy is also changes, but that will not be, both the concept will not giving a result, a similar result will not be given. Okay, so that's why we can say that the classical concept cannot explain the atomic structure. Now let us come back to the Bohr postulate and some mathematical derivations. So from the Bohr postulate, that is L is equal to nh by 2 pi, that is the angular momentum value for a particular state will be equal to integer multiple of the h by 2. And we have already studied that the angular momentum value will be mv into r, that is the linear momentum into the radius. Here n is representing a particular orbital number it is. So Vn is the velocity of the electron in that orbit, and Rn is the radius of that particular orbit. Okay, that is nth orbit. It can be any one of the orbit like KLM and 1, 2, 3, anything. So now let us come to the Vn. We have already derived this Vn equation, that is Vn is equal to E divided by root of 4 pi epsilon 0 m Rn. In the initial equation number 2.3 in the textbook, that is Vn is equal to E divided by root of 4 pi epsilon 0 m Rn. Those who have not attended that class, just to go through that equation and make that clear. Okay, the derivation of the equation is very simple only. Just two forces, that is centripetal force and as well the electrostatic forces. Comparing them and coming to a conclusion, that is the Vn is equal to E divided by root of 4 pi epsilon 0 m R. So now we are comparing these two equations, that is L is equal to ns by 2 pi, which is equal to Mv and Rn, and Vn is equal to E divided by root of 4 pi epsilon 0 m R. So from this equation 1 and 2, here equation 1 and 2 I have given in your textbook, some other numbers are given. Okay, so here equation 1 and 2, Vn is equal to 1 by n e square by 4 pi epsilon 0 1 divided by h by 2 pi. Okay, so for this one, for this derivation, you have to find the Vn square here. From the equation 2, you have to find the Vn square. So Vn square will be e square divided by e square. So Vn square, that is equal to e square divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 m r n. Okay, and then we have to find out the Vn. So you already have, now you are having the Vn square. You have to divide it with the Vn. For that purpose, you have to use these two equations, that is nh by 2 pi is equal to mvn r. So Vn, you have to substitute the Vn from here, this equation number 1, that is Vn is equal to nh by 2 pi m r. So Vn square divided by Vn, that is Vn square divided by Vn, that is Vn only, which is equal to E square divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 mr, that is the Vn square, all divided by Vn, that is nh by 2 pi, nh by 2 pi m r n, mr and will be cancelled, and the remaining equation will be E square by 4 pi epsilon 0, then 1 by n will be there, so n, and all divided by 1 by 1 by h by 2 pi. Okay. So this is the derivation for this equation. Vn is equal to. So you are finding out the Vn square from equation 2 and dividing it with the Vn which was obtained from the equation number 1. So Vn square is equal to E square divided by 4 pi epsilon 0 mr. So Vn square by Vn, it is Vn, here Vn is equal to nh by 2 pi m r, that is equal to, that is m into m and r should be taken towards the left hand side denominator. So Vn will be nh by 2 pi m r. So substituting the value, you will obtain the Vn value here. Okay. Now, thereafter you have to find out the Rn value in the same way. So for that Rn, to finding out the Rn value, taking the square here, okay, that is n square h square by 2 pi whole square, n square h square by 2 pi whole square. So that is actually m square vn square Rn square, okay, that is this n square 2 pi whole square h square is actually m square vn square Rn square. So you have to find out the Rn from this one, that is all divided by m square v square Rn should be there, then you will get the Rn value. Okay, that is now you are having the m square v square is m square vn square Rn square, this one. So all divided by m square vn square Rn will be your Rn. Okay. So for that purpose, now you can see here 4 pi epsilon 0 e square, this 4 pi epsilon 0 e square, now you can see here it is e square, it is vn square. So vn square 4 pi epsilon 0 e square will be equal to vn square m r n. Okay, this 4 pi epsilon 0 e square is actually vn square mr, 1 by vn square mr, that is 4 pi epsilon 0 e square. Okay, so you are having m square vn square r square value here. You are dividing that with the vn square mr. So here one m square you needed, isn't it? So that m square can be made by that can be made by this m. So that's why you are multiplying the denominator in this equation. So you are multiplying this equation with this one. So m square will be there. So you will obtain, that is m square vn square rn square divided by m square vn square rn. That is rn square divided by rn will become rn. All other terms will be cancelled. So in such a way you will get the rn value. So the equation for Rn is n square, or we can say nh by 2 pi the whole square into 4 pi epsilon 0 divided by v square m. That will be easy. nh by 2 pi the whole square 4 pi epsilon 0 divided by e square m. Likewise we can study it. That will be for remembering the equation, it will be easy. Okay. This ns by 2 pi is actually your L value. ns by 2 pi the whole square into 4 pi epsilon 0 divided by e square m is your R value. Now you have to study, we have to see that if n value is equal to 1, that is innermost orbital you are considering, then the Rm will become R1, and which is represented by A0, and where n value will become 1. So n square will become 1. So h square epsilon 0. Here this 2 pi the whole square will become 4 pi square. So 4 cancel, pi square pi. Here one pi will remain. Okay, n square h square by pi. Okay, n is actually 1, so h square by pi, epsilon 0 divided by m into e square. Substituting these values, all are constant values, substituting the values, you will get the value as 5.29 into 10 to the power minus 11 meter. In the case of the hypernanon, the innermost orbital's radius is equal to 5.29 into 10 to the power minus 11 meter, and it is known as the Bohr radius. So this is known as the Bohr radius. Okay. Now we have to discuss the energy portion. Okay. In the beginning of the chapter, we have seen that En value of E is equal to minus of E square divided by 8 by epsilon 0 R. Okay. So for general, for any orbital which is having a number n, so En will be equal to minus of E square divided by 8 by epsilon 0 R. So now you have to substitute the Rn value that we have derived. We have derived now. So Rn value you have to substitute. So En will become minus of E square divided by 8 by epsilon 0, and 1 divided by Rn. The reciprocal of the Rn you have to take. That is, now that the Rn value is actually n square by m into h by 2 pi the whole square divided by 4 by epsilon 0 by E square. That was the Rn value. So the taking the reciprocal, m by n square 2 pi by h the whole square E square divided by 4 by epsilon 0. That is the R. That is 1 by R. So minus of E square divided by 8 by epsilon 0, 1 by R. This whole time it is actually the 1 by R value. So by solving this one, you will get m into e raised to 4 minus of m into e raised to 4 divided by 8 n square epsilon 0 square h square. Okay. So here e square e raised to 4 m, then 8 will be there, pi, 1 pi will be cancelled here, 1 pi here it will cancel. So pi square will be cancelled. Here 2 square 4 cancelled. Then the remaining is minus of m e square, m e raised to 4 divided by 8 n square epsilon 0 square by h square. Substituting the constant values, it is m, e, epsilon 0 and h, and 8, you will get n is equal to minus of 2.19 into 10 to the power minus 18 by n square joule. Joule is the unit of energy. But here we are dealing with a very small values of energy. So instead of joule, you have to use the electron volt. So 1 electron volt is actually 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 joule. So you have to divide this one with the 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19. Then you will get the energy value in the terms of electron volt. So electron volt will be, in electron volt, the energy of the nth orbit will be 13.6 divided by n square eV. So for the first orbit, the energy value will be minus 13.6 electron volt. Okay. So this is regarding the energy on the basis of the Bohr atom model, the energy of the electron in particular orbit. So that is En is equal to minus 13.6 by n square. So we have seen the velocity of the electron, and as well the radius of the orbit, and as well also the energy of the particular electron in the case of the Bohr atom model, and as well the failure or the demerit of the classical concept for explaining this atom model also we have seen. So go through the textbook thoroughly. One more time, just go through the textbook, read the portions that we have covered today, and then make it more clear, and as well go through the exercise questions also. Okay, thank you.